Humperdinck Jackman, ESG Pro, joined today by Paul Longstaffe of ICD Europe. So, Paul, we were going to talk today about sustainability and how ICD rates the importance of this topic and what ICD Europe have been doing in terms of sustainability. And I'll kick it off. When I first came to your offices, thinking, okay, you're some form of a metals recycling company. I've got to admit, I was expecting a scrapyard with cranes and mud and gravel. And what I actually encountered was this pristine factory, which looked like maybe you're making medical equipment. It's an incredible difference between impressions and what you actually do. So why don't we kick off by you telling everybody, telling our listeners what ICD Europe actually does?
Yeah, so thanks for having me. Essentially, I suppose ICD are a supplier of specialised metals and alloys, and we do, as you mentioned, medical. We do supply into various sectors, so aerospace, medical, energy production. Basically, metals used everywhere, isn't it? So I suppose niche is being experts in the processing and testing and segregation of certain alloys. And what we try and do is get as much as possible from recycled sources as we can. So you're not the first person that they were expecting a scrapyard when they came. I like to say that we're a very, very posh scrapyard. But yeah, the facilities here, we like to keep clean. It's crucially important for the applications that these metals are going into, that there's no cross-contamination or anything. So it's imperative that we make sure the facilities are clean. We're using equipment that's state-of-the-art and modern technology, as well as the testing equipment that we've got to identify which alloys are which. So yeah, I suppose it's an interesting field to be in. I've been with the company now for about 2 years as the HSEQ manager, and essentially I came in to the company to try and bring along all the health and safety systems, all the environmental systems, the quality systems, and really bring them up to a high standard. Industry-leading standard is where we want to be. So sustainability really has been part of the company's DNA from the outset. Like, it's a recycling company at heart.
So, let's jump back a bit, because I'm lucky to have actually seen what you do. What are these metals you're recycling? Where are they coming from?
So various sources, really. We've got quite a global supply chain. Much of them come from China, Europe, North America, and I suppose the industries will be medical, aerospace, gas turbines, the blades for the impellers and things like that. They're all made of these really high performance, high temperature, high durability alloys. If we didn't, obviously, when these things get decommissioned, if we didn't take them and reuse them, break them up, process them, and turn them back into raw material, they'd just be going to waste. So essentially, we are cutting out a lot of mining for the various ores and minerals and elements that go into these alloys. So
if I was to think of, I happen to, for different reasons, have been in visiting various people in hospitals much of late, and it's very, very much a thing that, some medical equipment used in the theatre can be put through an autoclave and sterilized, but an awful lot of it's one use and it's done. Not just blades, but certain where there's diseases and what have you. They're really expensive, really phenomenally expensive pieces of equipment. Just a scalpel can cost £100. So the volume of this metal going to a facility such as yours is quite huge.
Yeah. Essentially, we'll take shipments, individual shipments that be 25, 30 tons at a time of various bits of metal from various sources. Again, sometimes it's all from a single source. Sometimes it's a mixture that has been collected over a certain period of time. The interesting one about the metal as well, one of the metals that we deal with, 5, and that is a metal that's used quite a lot in medical implants. So the hips and the knee joints and stuff like that. So obviously they one-time use. Then we will get the ones that there are issues with, or there are basically waste ones, and then we can recycle those, process them, break them down into the constituent parts, and send them back in for reuse or remelting and then molding again.
And I think you mentioned to me previously that if it's a metal in the periodic table, you can deal with it.
Usually, yeah. That's one of the key things that the company's been able to do is it's if a company is in need of a particular element, it might be a rare earth mineral or a specialized metal, then typically we can source that and supply that in whatever volume is required.
It's amazing stuff. Fundamentally, you're the ultimate recycling company. I mean, you really are, as a business, you're bringing a profound change to how other businesses can deliver recycling, circularity.
And the other thing is, because of the nature of the sectors that we deal into, we have to be able to provide the reassurances to the customers similar to what they would get with mined or virgin material. So we are doing very in-depth laboratory testing in order to get down to sort of 1 or 2 ppms of certain elements within an alloy to make sure that it's either commercially pure or it's the exact alloy that they are after, and that the gas levels aren't too high, so you might have elevated nitrogen and things like that. So we're providing full certification for the metals. So it allows other companies to use recycled sources, but with the same reassurances that they would get by going direct to a producer or a refinery.
And with the current trade wars going on, what they call it, a trade war, well, the crazy tit-for-tat tariffs, it's not just Trump, it's China as well. It's the EU imposing and the UK imposing VAT on imported goods, which to US eyes is just a tariff. Something I do agree with. That's one of the few things I agree with Trump on, but I agree with him on that. It's a tariff. It's why everything here in the UK is 20% more expensive if it's imported. So in this whole trade war scenario, it must be good for business.
Yes, I mean, it has been pretty choppy waters this year just because of the uncertainty that's been in the markets. A lot of customers and companies have been hesitant to buy or sell, or because no one wants to get caught out. Obviously, the goalposts have moved around a few times this year, and it's been difficult to predict exactly what's going to play out over the next couple of months. So, yeah, probably hasn't been as smooth sailing as it has been in previous years. No. But obviously, where there's risks, there's opportunities, and ICD have navigated it really quite well, I think, in terms of managing to get forward orders and contracts in place for materials. And then, like I said, what sometimes happens is, for instance, with America imposing certain tariffs, some of the stuff that would have gone from Europe to America hasn't gone. So then obviously there's opportunities for us to come in and either buy that or distribute it around the UK. A lot more meltings happened in the UK that would have happened in the US, if that makes sense. So it's been a difficult one to navigate, but I think we've managed all right, to be fair.
So it's absolute in my eyes that you're processing a vast amount of what would otherwise be scrap metal and recycling some rare earth or rare metals to avoid them being the raw material having to be mined and processed and all that goes with it. The emissions, the waste.
Yes, I think turnover for 2024 was about 135 million.
This is amazing. When I consider that you're taking in all of this scrap, recycling it, purifying it, reselling it, the avoided carbon emissions because of ICD Europe's existence is enormous. And that really is the whole point of why we're having this chat. It's about trying to identify how modern British business is positioned to deliver sustainability. And I think with ICD Europe, one of the key things about ICD Europe is not just your approach to your carbon reporting, but it's the fact that this is part of a much bigger picture, which is your EcoVadis certification. And I think this is truly commendable. ESG Pro is also an EcoVadis gold certified company. We are now an approved training partner for EcoVadis across UK, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And I think we're now the only one which is actually headquartered in the UK. So we're really proud of that ourselves. But tell us about the ICD Europe journey to EcoVadis, and because that really speaks volumes about sustainability, corporate social responsibility, and how it's positioned in ICD. it's not a tick box exercise. What can you tell us about the ICD Europe journey towards delivering, achieving EcoVadis certification and maintaining it?
Yeah, so I suppose the strategy for our sort of sustainability at ICD was always quite internal. We always had things in place from the get-go, really, for waste diversion and energy saving and lots of stuff that happened here, and we sort of did it in and around the operations. But then the strategy developed sort of as I was joining the business. I think one of the reasons that I joined ICD was that they wanted to broaden out their approach to sustainability. And one of the first steps in that was start to collaborate with some other regulatory bodies, certification bodies, consultants, ESG Pro, lots of, and even industry peers. So we were looking around for something, and other companies within our industry had got EcoVadis certification. So it was something that we thought, well, we'll take a look at. And once we had a look and sort of saw the value that brought, and the platform itself, how you can do things on the academy to improve your reporting and improve your policies and things like that, we thought this is probably the way to go. So we went ahead and signed up, got the EcoVadis. I think in 2023 was the first time we got a score from them, and then since then it's just been an annual thing, improving and trying to find ways to generally advocate and improve the EcoVadis and sustainability score performance, if you like. So yeah, it's been a steep learning curve. We're still quite a young company and we're quite early on in our sustainability journey, but something like that has had a huge impact in terms of how we approach it, what kind of actions and targets that we set, and it's really been a boost for us commercially as well. Having the EcoVadis, it enables you to share your score immediately. So usually you get all these forms flying backwards and forwards where you've got the supplier assessment and this questionnaire to fill out, and your greenhouse gas declarations and your responsible materials initiative forms and all that stuff. But what EcoVadis does allow you to do is basically you've uploaded all that information, you've been given a score, you've been given a certificate. You can just share that with other EcoVadis partners. So you've got that 2 clicks of a button and all that information. And I think one of the key things really, and you mentioned this in our first meeting, is it's all about clarity and it's all about transparency. It's sharing information, collaborating with others, saying this is what we're doing and this is how we're doing it, and laying it all out there for everyone to see. And then if everyone does that, this moves quickly.
And which EcoVadis badge did ICD achieve?
So we originally achieved gold in the first year, but the company's grown quite significantly. So in 2024, we were a silver, so we were in the top 15% still, but the requirements moved up as we moved up a category. So I think we've still got a lot of work to do, and that's one of the things that we obviously collaborating with you are hoping to achieve is to get that back up to the gold and eventually to platinum status.
Absolutely, and as a company grows, it has to continuously improve. And it's not just EcoVadis or EcoVadis, however anybody wants to say it. It's the same with B Corp, who are they have massively changed their standards so that nobody can just sail through and do extremely well in 1 or 2 pillars and even fail another pillar. Now you have to pass every single pillar. But EcoVadis have gone so much further in, to my mind, really talking about the environmental aspect. It always has been extraordinary on corporate social responsibility, but the rigor over the environmental factors have lifted EcoVadis into a new level, with 150,000 plus businesses globally being certified. It really is the dominant standard, and I think it's just going to go from strength to strength from here. Getting to EcoVadis Gold, of course, regaining the gold certification is all about moving into, even more in-depth reporting on emissions and environmental factors, but also framing it your reporting under the GRI framework. So it's best described as moving from A levels to a degree. That's the rigor, the depth, the clarity, and as you said, the transparency of the information just has to be ever that much better. But it's, to my mind, and this is very much the whole ESG Pro ethos. Once you start on the GRI, Global Reporting Institute reporting framework, which EcoVadis now relies on for gold and platinum, you're strengthening the business. You're identifying more risks. And if you can identify a risk, then you can rank them in order of potential impact and start fixing them, mitigating those risks step by step. It feeds back into your role, everything you're doing. HSEQ, there's lots of ways somebody can injure themselves. Well, let's start with the more obvious ones, the more serious ones, the ones which would bring down the company or cause somebody's death. And that's where GRI reporting is going to do the same for ICD. And you're going to be able to measure the results, and you're going to be able to quantify those changes in all manner of ways, maybe lower insurance premiums, all sorts.
Yeah. I mean, this is it. There's huge benefits all across the business. Like I say, that you've got the pillars of the ESG, and even within the sort of HSEQ role as well. What seems like a small and insignificant change can have a knock-on effect. And like you said, also, once you start that ball rolling, what you want to do is keep that momentum and really sort of turn the flywheel and get that momentum into real positive action. Oh yeah, you can. Obviously, you want to start with a higher risk, but it might be that you start relatively small. I like to think that's kind of what ICD have done. Started internally, tweaking operations, changing things inside. But I think now we're at the point where our next big step is to start collaborating with others. If we want to tackle things on a global scale and have a global impact, then really you need to be out there and you need to be on the soapbox shouting about it. So that's something that we're looking to do over the next couple of years. Obviously, working with companies such as you guys, really to take us to that next level.
I'm glad you've brought this up, because one of the tremendous aspects of the EcoVadis program is how it does facilitate a business like yours. Yeah, if you're a big business, anywhere from £1 to £200 million turnover, any business like that is a major British business. But you still don't necessarily have the clout of a Microsoft, an Oracle, Coca-Cola. But with the global movement of addressing sustainability and reputation of supply chain, what we see businesses like yours being able to do is to say to your suppliers, hey, join us on this, join us on our EcoVadis journey, so you become EcoVadis certified, which strengthens your business and attracts more clients for you, and so it goes on. So there's a lovely cascading effect here. Yeah, with all of these government regulations like the Procurement Act, NHS Evergreen, the list goes on, actually knowing your suppliers. And this is a great vehicle to start that engagement of, hey, what's your carbon footprint? What are you doing to make sure there's no modern slavery in your business or your supply chain? And yeah, it's for the greater good.
Yeah, 100% agree. There's lots of stuff on the EcoVadis platform that will allow you to just share certain KPIs as well. Just so, I mean, it allows you to create that network of companies and peers and industry bodies that if everyone's communicating, again, it comes back to that word transparency. This is where we are. This is what we're doing. And you can benchmark and you can see what's happening in your industry, see where you're positioned in that. And have we got a long way to go, or are we up there with the best of them? And it allows you just that top level view of how to move forward across the landscape, as it does change all the time. But again, while you've got that top level view in with a big accreditation such as EcoVadis, you get to see those changes before they happen sometimes and adjust accordingly.
And it's not just ticking up. It's not just ticking a box. It really does take some effort, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. It's the questionnaire that you fill out, the annual audit. It takes you a good few weeks to pull together all that information to submit. So yeah, there's definitely some work involved, because it's the level that they go to ensure that they're validating and that people are reporting things thoroughly.
But what I have noticed about ICD is it's not just on your shoulders. You have a whole team of people across different disciplines, finance, HR, factory floor. You've got lots of people engaged in the process, which is the way it should be. It's not just one person chasing his or her tail around saying, give me this information. There's a collaborative spirit at ICD Europe, which
I mean,
refreshing.
Yeah, we're fortunate. Obviously, I suppose in terms of turnover, we're a big company. In terms of full-time employees, probably small. I think we've got around 42, 43 full-time employees here in ICD Europe. It's definitely a tight-knit group. One of the benefits of having a relatively small team is communicating and getting that camaraderie around a particular goal. Because, I mean, ultimately, that's all companies are. It's a group of people aligned to common goals, isn't it? And that's what ICD Europe sort of embodies, I think. And so one of the big pushes when we first started was health and safety, and the way the guys from the shop floor right through to the officers, right through to the senior management sort of embraced, we're going with this, and we're here and we want to be here. We want to be industry leading. Environmentally, we did the same thing. Right, okay, we've got that sorted. We're in a good position there, so let's concentrate on the next one. Well, let's look at environmental performance. And I say essentially you can get everyone in a room here and have these conversations and talk about how the company is going to address certain topics, and everyone jumps on board and all pulls in the same direction, which is...
Yeah, there is a real attitude at your company, most refreshing. And can we dive into some of the environmental aspects you have tackled as a business over the last couple of years? You know, the steady transition from businesses large and small, we're just saying, right, SECR reporting, we do scope 1, scope 2, and business travel and pretend that we've got that box ticked. You've gone further and deeper, but so there's that. And what other environmental actions have you been taking to enhance your performance on the environmental side?
So I suppose we did a lot of it without having any real long-term strategy in place. So a lot of individual sort of action. So our site's all LED lighting on sensors. We've got the water sensors as well and the automatic shut-off tap. So little things like that, just that reduce the impact that you're having. And then I suppose in the last couple of years, we've developed that ESG strategy and started to pull together some more involved reporting and data collection. So again, we're fairly early on in the process, but our reporting for the scope 1, 2 and 3 emissions was end of 2023. That's when we really took off with it. And we said, right, we're going to do this and we're going to do it wholeheartedly. Scope 1 and 2, I suppose, were fairly straightforward for us. Obviously, you've got the SECR requirements and things, so we were reporting those anyway, and you can pretty much get that information straight from your energy suppliers and your usage on site. Scope 3 was the tricky one for us, and that's one of the reasons, obviously, we approached you guys, is just a little bit of guidance and help. We gathered a lot of data and we pulled a lot of information together, and you've sort of got this massive numbers, and you say, right, well, this is category 1, this is category 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it goes on, and you're looking at this number and you're like, that can't be right. So I suppose, one of the reasons we approached you guys was, right, are we doing this the way that everyone else is doing it? Are we doing it in line with the GRI frameworks or the SBTI? There's so many different protocols for reporting on these things. They're all very similar, but we just wanted to make sure that we are validating what we're doing here. So ESG Pro came in and supported us with that. And I suppose that was really the turning point where it kind of clicked. We were like, right, we know what we're doing now. So that data gathering and that information, we really refined that process and got that to a point where we're very, very confident in the figures that we are putting out. Because one of the things we don't want to be doing is putting out figures that are a bit finger in the air and it's something around here, something like this, because it can be a minefield.
And the risk is double counting, and that's to nobody's advantage. Our team will always do their absolute to make sure that you don't end up reporting carbon in one category when it's already been reported in another. It's one of the big bear traps, if you like, in carbon reporting. But also, for instance, EcoVadis and other agencies, ESG rating organizations, they do place greater emphasis on a third-party audited report. So there's progress there. And then there's always the possibility to proceed to ISO 14068 if you were to go for verified carbon neutrality to an ISO standard or carbon reporting to ISO 14064. So it's a verified carbon report. Probably not the most important thing you could be doing at this point until one of your customers was to demand that of you, because otherwise the money you're spending annually then on having that report certified could go on instead on more quantifiable positive measures, whether they're environmental or social or whatever. I mean, I'm learning, even though we know each other somewhat, I know your business somewhat, I'm learning things about ICD Europe today. You just continuously impress me as a business, and it's not just flattery. What about the social side? EcoVadis always was corporate social responsibility. Now it's the bigger picture. What changes have you seen, in your time at ICD, where the social side of the business, social responsibility, has changed, evolved, progressed?
So the social side of things for us, I suppose, is there's two sort of elements to it as we see it. So we've got the sort of direct business itself and the people who work there and the people who are directly impacted by our business actions. And then you've got sort of the wider, for us, global impact socially. Obviously, when you're involved in the metals and mining, some of the metals that we deal with are tungsten, tantalum. You've got your 3TG. So we have to be very, very, very stringent with our controls in and around responsible sourcing of those materials, because there are areas of the world where you've got conflict zones and those materials are mined. But that's pretty much been there from the get-go. And then, of course, you've kind of got, with any mining operation, you tend to have a massive environmental impact in the area where that mining is taking place. So we do have strict responsible sourcing policies and procedures to make sure that impact is minimised. And like I say, pushing really towards the recycled sources rather than direct from mines wherever possible. I think something like between 60 and 70% of our supply comes from recycled, so that we don't have to have an impact in those areas. And then you've got the internal ICD, our local area, and the teams here. So one of the big changes really is how we approach training now. So before it was very much job related. So people were trained to do tasks, but we've recently sort of brought in sort of professional development programs. So we've got multiple guys who work here that are on sort of higher level courses, leadership and management courses. You've got people who are on health and safety courses who don't actually work within the health and safety, it's just so that they can better lead their teams. We've got people on accounting courses. We've got people on degrees for various sort of engineering qualifications and things like that. That's been a real boost for a lot of people here, because not only is it, you can come and work at ICD and you can start on the shop floor, but that's open to anyone. If you put your foot forward and say, I'd like to progress, then that's something that ICD will support and will get you on one of the professional development programs and see what you're capable of, essentially.
Wow, that is impressive. We work with a lot of businesses. Some of them, they're in the billions of turnover, tens of thousands of people, and it's that's exceptional. The level of commitment to training that absolutely typifies the very best of what is a social value program, investing in the people in the business. It's an ESG initiative which helps you attract and retain the top talent. And gosh, hats off to you and to your management team for supporting those initiatives. I really can't say enough about how impressed I am. I just love the whole message of what ICD Europe stands for in an age where rare earths dominate and access control of them, the impact of mining, where you brought up conflict zones, the societal and planetary implications of all of this. There was an article a couple of days ago in one of the major British newspapers of an area in Venezuela and another one in the Venezuelan part of the Amazon rainforest and another in the Brazilian, where vast swathes of land, one the size of Wales, has been completely and totally destroyed. We can't say forever, but certainly for the lifetime of any human alive today, nothing will grow on this land. The size of Wales. because they've been gold mining, and government corruption doesn't care. They're in there, blind eye, rape the land and leave devastation. It's not just the trees, it's the wildlife, it's the sterilization. They've turned this land into not just a desert, but a poisonous desert. So by recycling, by taking this turbine blade in this jet engine from wherever, but who's got the technology, the time, the money to strip it down, isolate the part, do something with it, and yet you are kilo by kilo, it's having a positive impact for the planet. And that is, I think, the ICD Europe message. You really are a sustainable company who have managed to evolve the message of scrap metal, Steptoe and Son, to scrap metal. Well, high tech. Brilliant. Paul, I think we should wrap it up there, but I really appreciate the time.
Thank you for having me. And like I say, it's been a pleasure working with you, and hope to continue to do so.
That's brilliant. Everybody, thank you for listening. This is Humperdinck Jackman, joined by Paul Longstaffe of ICD Europe. Thank you.